Wisdom is wasted on the old, more so than youth is wasted on the young. Raymond Red Reddington. So I heard this quote years ago watching the show Blacklist, and it fits well with the challenge younger parents have with accepting and applying advice from their elders. And there are different reasons why young parents don't accept advice. It could be they don't trust who is giving them the advice, or they don't believe in the advice that they're given, or the universal does not apply to my situation. And in either circumstance, if they're not open to receive advice, then they potentially miss out on years of experience and insights that can be applied to their family. And as I watch and I read social media, there's a lot of instances where questions are asked by younger parents, and I wonder, are they actually using that advice, or are they dismissing it under the belief that their circumstance is so much different? Because I've experienced that as well, where I received advice and I didn't think it applied because I was in a different time than the person who gave me the advice. And actually years later, I found that time didn't matter. The situation still occurred because we have certain principles that do not change as parents. And that's our responsibility to protect our children, to equip them to be adults, and to enable them to reach their full potential. There's also things in youth that do not change either. And I understand there's technology and society's changed and norms are changed over the years, but there are certain things human nature-wise that as you grow from a child to an adult that we all experience regardless of generation, such as how do you deal with relationships, as well as academic or athletic stress. Then you have making sense of new situations that you had not encountered before. Bullying seems to be an enduring thing as well. And then defining standards in friendship, as well as fitting in, universally recognized as a challenge for all children. So then the challenge becomes for younger parents is how do you translate that advice that you receive from an older parent or from a different generation and make tangible actions in your family so that you can realize the benefits of that advice in time. So it is an art to do that, but I'll give you a couple examples from my experience. First, probably the first impactful information that I got that came by way of sort of advice was riding with a coworker who lamented on missing his daughters growing up. They were teenagers and he just didn't influence them the way that he thought he could. And as I reflected on that, when my daughters were 1 or 2 years old, I realized that he waited too long. And so I took that as I need to start when my daughters are 4 or 5 or 6 years old so that I can instill the characteristics that I desired. And then a few years later, I had a friend of mine who explained to me that he almost ran his oldest daughter out of soccer because he was putting too much stress and was overbearing. So I took that advice and that information and I translated it to our household. And how did I make sure that my daughter enjoyed soccer throughout her teenage years and even into college? And I would offer that as a young parent, you first have to be willing to receive the advice. And then once you determine it applies to your family, you have to own it and then leverage those insights to inform your foresight and prayerfully to the benefit of your children.